Hello! Today let's remember the rule of comparative and superlative adjectives. A comparative adjective is a word that describes a noun by comparing it to another noun. Comparative adjectives typically end in er and are followed by the word than. And a superlative adjective is a word that describes a noun by comparing it to two or more nouns to the highest or lowest degree. Superlative adjectives typically end in est and are preceded by the word the. But there are some rules we should know according to the number of syllables in the adjective. With one-syllable adjective to form the comparative, we add er to the end of the adjective. Small, smaller, cold, colder. And to form the superlative, we add est to the end of the adjective. Small, the smallest, and cold, the coldest. When an adjective ends in the letter E, we just add R to the comparative form and ST to the superlative form. For example, wide, wider, the widest. And when an adjective ends in a consonant plus short vowel plus consonant, we normally double the last letter. Big, bigger, the biggest. Or wet, wetter, the wettest, and so on. Here are some examples of the sentences with one-syllable adjectives. November is colder than May, or it is the biggest building in the village. With two-syllable adjectives ending in y to form the comparative, we remove the y and add ier. And to form the superlative, we remove the y and add iest. Happy, happier, the happiest, or easy, easier, the easiest. This exercise is easier than the previous one. It was the happiest day of my life. For adjectives with two syllables that don't end in y and more, three or more syllables, we use more for comparatives and the most for superlatives. Interesting, more interesting, the most interesting. Wonderful, more wonderful, the most wonderful. Look at the sentences. This book is more interesting than the one you gave me. It was the most wonderful day I have ever had. But there are some exceptions with two-syllable adjectives which also can have the ending er and est. There are words such as narrow, simple, and quiet. You can use them in both variants, narrower or more narrow, simpler or more simple, and quieter or more quiet. And the same with the superlative form. And don't forget about irregular adjectives. Good, better, the best. Bad, worse, the worst. Little, less, the least, and their opposite, many or much, more, the most. The adjective far has two forms, farther or further, and the farthest or the furthest. These both forms are used for distance, but if we mean additional or more advanced, we use only further and the furthest. For example, in this sentence, we can say either farther or further. New York is further or farther than London is from here. But in the sentence, if you require further information, please contact reception. We talk about additional information, so we use further only. Also, the adjective old has two forms. Older the oldest and elder the eldest. We use elder the eldest when we are talking about family relationships, and we usually put them only before a noun. For example, he is my elder brother. We cannot say my brother is elder than me. This is incorrect. In such sentence, we will say my brother is older than me. And one more thing. We can say that things are the same or different with the phrase as or not as. For example, the train is as expensive as flying. We show that their cost is the same. It's not as warm as last week. We show that the temperature is different.